How to develop empathy in your workplace. Strong emotional intelligence. Why do we need to have strong emotional intelligence at the workplace? The statistics show that customers prefer working with companies that exhibit emotional intelligence. In the workplace, empathy ensures high employee retention. An empathetic manager also produces a higher output. That sums up the direct impacts of emotional intelligence at the workplace. But what can one do to develop empathy in the workplace to reap these benefits? We will look at 7 key ways to do this. 7. Practice empathy. One of the best ways to become empathetic is to dedicate time to practice. You have first to accept that you lack empathy and make attempts to correct it. Empathy is not something that we are born with, we all learn it. So, one should not be ashamed to say that they need it. When you come to this acceptance, the journey will be quicker. It will help if you read things online that will help you gather the virtue. You can also read books and travel to other places to experience different perspectives on life. The effort will pay off with the knowledge that will be gathered. So if you have subordinates and want to relate to them better, go to other organizations which have been reviewed to do well in empathy and understudy their relations in the workplace. If you are a business owner, you can pay for an emotional intelligence expert to organize a workshop in the office for everyone. Being self-aware is a branch of empathy, so knowledge of your shortcomings in this department builds character and capacity. Practice will make you perfect in the field of empathy. 6. Open up. One way to be empathetic is to open up to people and let them warm up to you. When you open up and show your vulnerability, more people will be willing to get close to you. Opening up creates room for people to build a relationship with you. We may not realize it, but we spend more time at the workplace than anywhere else. This defeats the narrative that your coworkers are not your friends. They are the closest people to you for most of your life. So showing them compassion and being a friendly face will make your stay in the workplace much enjoyable. Talk to people with honesty and show genuine concern about people's lives. It would be best if you did not pry on private matters that have not been shared with you, but you have to make a connection with the things they care to share. Speaking up about your challenges with work and how you manage to deal with it will help other people also speak up about their challenging situations. That way, you can offer help to them and foster increased outputs. It doesn't take much for you to be an empathetic sport in the workplace. Start by genuinely caring about the people you work with. 5. Listen actively. Opening up is one way to develop empathy, but you also have to listen actively when people open up to you. It would help if you were a listener who not only hears what is being said but also understands. Hearing someone but not listening to them is possible. You must decipher the messages in what people are telling you instead of listening to reply. Your colleagues' body language and facial expressions will help you understand the messages they are passing without speaking. Talking to people could be a skill when you master the various forms of communication. Listening should end with decoding the message, so if you achieve it, then you have already built your empathy. Sometimes a person can tell you many things about themselves and their work, and they may be hinting at you showing support. Other times you have a person talking to you, but hoping that you say nothing. To them, you are an avenue to offload their frustration. The skill to gauge reactions and act accordingly should be developed by all who hope to increase their empathy in the workplace. 4. Don't make assumptions. You work with a colleague who has been failing to live up to their productivity lately. Do you speak to them about what could be holding them back? Or do you assume they are not putting in as much effort as before? If you assume the latter, you may be wrong and build a situation that could force the other party to be defensive. Assumptions could create hostility because when you assume wrong, it might come off as accusatory. Taking your time to investigate the root cause of all situations in the workplace before you make any comments will set you apart as a highly emotionally intelligent person. Your compassion towards people, even when their actions are affecting you, is what makes you empathetic. If you receive word that a client has stopped doing business with you and have blamed their decision on customer service, are you one who will start angrily shouting at the employee who handles the account, or will you host them in a meeting and try to understand the problem at hand? Knowing how to manage your emotions and handle issues devoid of assumptions is a way to build empathy in the workplace. 3. Consider people's perspective. This is the meaning of empathy. Can you walk a mile in my shoes? When you set timelines and create impossible deadlines, it is a testament that you do not consider people's perspectives. Think about if you would be able to do these things that you expect others to do. You can also be more sympathetic if there are other pressing issues in their lives could not accommodate all the workload you are dumping on them. This does not mean you should excuse them for doing what they are paid to do, but you could make their work less emotionally draining. Putting yourself in other people's shoes is the easiest way to achieve empathy. You have to make it a point to interrogate their processes and know all their ups and downs. Your colleagues would be more appreciative if you came to them knowing what they are going through. If you can relate to something that is going on, people will warm up to you more. Would you have appreciated it if that was done to you? That it is the best way to determine if you should go ahead and do it to people. A person who puts themselves in other people's shoes is the epitome of empathy and emotional intelligence. 2. Identify personal biases. Striving to be empathetic can make you chase after other things when you could quickly solve them from within. You can quickly become a solid, empathetic colleague even when you have not done any external work on yourself. One of the things that fuel emotional intelligence is personal bias. When you don't unlearn your biases and stereotypes, you will struggle to show empathy. That is because you base all your interactions on preconceived notions. It would help if you squashed all your biases in the workplace. When you are dealing with your colleagues, speaking to them from past bias may only cause friction. If you have to speak to people, use facts and verifiable points instead of generalized statements. If a colleague did not close a deal with a customer you gave them, it should not measure their productivity. It would help if you also avoided language like "every time I give you a client, you blow it," when in reality you only gave them one client once. Past mistakes should be used as learning points, not blame marks. If you also are biased towards a specific gender or race for your reasons, this may cause a problem in your score for empathy and emotional intelligence. Showing empathy means being unbiased and indiscriminate at the workplace. 1. Take action. When you find that a person is struggling with their job, you could talk to them and help out. Let's say that you did, and they explained to you that pressure from home affects their output. This seems like a good time for you to show your empathy. Telling them to stay home and work to manage their stress levels is a good idea. However, they may not be grateful for that. In retrospect, the person may be using their time in the office to escape their challenges at home. So being empathetic is not only about the things that you think people may need. It involves acting in their best interest. In the scenario we mentioned, you could ask the person to give you an idea of making it easier. When you hear people's problems, you should take action and find solutions for them. These solutions should not be what you have guessed, but what they share is helpful to them. When you take action and help people in the workplace, you evoke the most wholesome emotional intelligence. More than 50% of Americans have expressed willingness to work 2 hours if the company shows empathy in many surveys. They confirm that they are willing to work for half the salaries they earn in an empathetic environment. With the confirmed millennial decision to work in places where they feel valued and wanted, this might be the new criteria for seeking jobs soon. What ways do you know that have helped in developing empathy in your workplace? What experiences do you have with workplaces that lack emotional intelligence and especially empathy? We would appreciate it if you shared your thoughts with us.